the ones among you who are a little uninitiated, this foundation has been set up. This is essentially an NGO set up by Vinita Sharma Bakshi in Delhi, and has been doing tremendous work in terms of women empowerment at grassroots and level issues. You know, also giving a platform to um, women to voice contemporary concerns and conflicts in our within the emerging dynamics of our social context. So, Aambra Foundation has recently also launched a helpline to facilitate and resolve difficult issues and conflicts of women in distress in Delhi. So this is basically about Aambra Foundation, and probably I could just start a little about my life journey and what would probably interest you or kind of be a valid takeaway for every woman from my rather inconsequential journey. So, you see, when I was invited very kindly by Vinita Sharma Bakshi, who's the foundation, who's the founder of this foundation, last night, I was overwhelmed and touched at this opportunity specifically for two reasons. A, I am a very inconsequential woman who is facing the same life struggles and going through the same, probably the same learnings and the same relearnings that, like, millions of you. But what really is that one thing about my life journey which I would want to pause, recollect, and maybe share with all of you, so that it could probably just be a reminder in a difficult situation, or it could you or encourage you at some point of your life journey. I think that would be my contribution by way of participating in this show. And I think this is exactly where all of us need to come together, because little there are these little things within our life journey which are probably very mundane, but at the same time, in terms of probably that little insight that we get at that moment, the way we approach it translates to a lot of self learning and empowerment. And this self learning and empowerment is not something which is unattainable by any one of you. It is something which is common to the millions of women across India, I would say across the world. You know, it's all about learning little things from each other's journey and trying and implementing it and making it a little better from your own perspective. Uh, I would like to introduce myself a little. I am a author and I've written a book called The Mystic Sinners, which is essentially a fiction thriller about how unscrupulous occult practitioners tarnish essentially the sacred practice of tantra and make fortunes out of misfortunes, and also obviously exploit women. Now, why did I write a story like that? So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Before embarking onto my journey as a full-fledged author, I was a journalist and I used to work in Hindustan Times and Times of India in Delhi for several years. And though writing was extremely fulfilling, I essentially used to write about features, education, things related to, women empowerment within a corporate organization, a multitude of issues. And somewhere down the line, I felt that this was not enough. I probably need to get into writing, though I am not a feminist. Like I am a self-confessed, a gender neutral person, because I believe that men and women coexist, and it is also about you know feminism. The reason why I would say that I am not a feminist is because I believe that feminism today, in a lot of contexts, has also been tarnished from its actual meaning and essence. Feminism is not about, you know, saying that we are better than men. We are not better than men, or men are not better than us. We are equal. And the beauty of being a woman is that she's essentially different and unique from a man. And she's strong in her own essence. She does not need to compete because she's already a strength and a power within herself. So that is where I feel that, that is my understanding of feminism. And I believe that I should embark onto my journey of writing fiction, books, columns, where I kind of like, also touch upon women issues within larger themes, which resonate with the male consciousness in such a way that they understand that, it is not that they are wanting to be heard because they are saying that they are better than us, or more powerful or lesser than us, or they are weaker. It is somewhere that they are trying to say that, hey, let's come together and strike this balance of harmony, because that's exactly where we all can coexist and go forward. So I'm sorry that I've digressed and lent my views on various things that I feel strongly about in terms of feminism and all that. The reason why I digressed and shared this is because, coming back to this moment when Vinita very kindly approached me and said that I should share my perspective and life journey in this very beautiful and meaningful show, I thought, where exactly is that one thing which is common to all of us, all women in the world, and that I would say is the inherent privilege, the physiological, biological, and psychological privilege that a woman inherently possesses, in terms of translating every difficulty, pain, and hurdle into something which is joyous, live, meaningful, and creative. And why our strength, essentially, unlike men, comes from facing pain, difficulties, succumbing it, and transcending it, or I would say transcending it, and getting into a space which is very meaningful. And if you really, and when I say this is biological, it's very obvious. A woman is gives birth at the time of when she's undergoing going her labor. A woman is obviously, like, going through her pangs of distress, but ultimately that leads to a new life creation, that leads to something which is so inherently her, which is an extension of her. In that very same sense and spirit, I think every experience of a woman ultimately transcends and translates to something which is very meaningful, and which also helps her to see the world in a more meaningful and in a more joyful and cohesive light. Uh, in my life, I would say I have had my share of struggles, ups and downs, which were not very unique to most of you. Like, for instance, I did my post graduation in Pune, and that was the first time after a 18-year life, very sheltered, protected life from a very protected family, that I ventured out, saw the world on my own. And every experience in my life, I would say, has also been about amalgamating influences from people around me, also questioning my self conditions, rather conservative beliefs, and trying to see people non judgmentally for what they are. Because I believe every life experience and life phase exposes us to a situation or people or circumstances which are not gray, or which are not black or white. they're essentially gray. And it is within each of us to assimilate what we really need to, which would empower us eventually, and also see the world in a better perspective. So, well, yes, I have had my share of experiences in terms of, interacting with people of various cosmopolitan cultures, various states, learning things, relearning my beliefs, and obviously going through my struggles in terms of, choosing the right, career path and all that. Here, I would like to say that journalism essentially was something which I was not a very conscious choice, because I had initially thought of, doing my master's and PhD in English honors, and probably get into an academic line, which obviously, like I tell a lot of my friends that, had I pursued my master's in English and been a professor and written books, it would have been a more synchronized kind of career entity for me. Journalism essentially, though it is writing, it is a very different kind of writing, because you are exposed to a lot of people, lot of situations. Sometimes a lot of things rattle with you, within you, rattle you. And I am a very private person. I am a literature person more than a news person. I like to delve into my own world, stay with my reflections and observations, and create. But even here, I realized after pointing not my right line. Now, coming back to the thought process of that I eventually kind of imbibe of letting every not very positive or not very easy circumstance or choice in my life um, deter me from my own journey of self fulfillment and empowerment. This also came. This is also something which comes into this line of thinking, because I realized that, all my learnings that I gathered through a line like mass communication journalism, which is very, which exposes you to a lot of people, and which is very on the face, has also helped me understand a lot of things about people, organizations, and life in a way which I would have not probably ventured out, had I been in my comfort zone of literature. Now, these learnings have also enriched me as a person in terms of, probably I would say, my ability to understand and appreciate differences, differences of people, contrast and juxtapositions of situations, as opposed to things and situations which are comfortable to me and which I like. And ultimately, this has enriched, I believe, has enriched my writings, even while I write for a few occasional columns, or I'm right on in the process of writing my second novel, or it has reflected, I would say, partially in my first novel. It is this ability of accepting a lot of things which are not inherently me, but um, you know, finding meaning and the value in things, and appreciating things which are absolutely a stark difference to me, and being empathetic while creating narratives in my works of fiction and non-fiction. I would say that has this varied exposure of things, which is, not really the, I would say, my way of processing situations. For instance, had I not been in journalism, I would have not probably been too much going and meeting too many people at too many times, you know out of my comfort zone. I would have liked to stick to few people, few situations, things which are comfortable. But here I had this mandate that I had to go out and interact and mingle with people and situations which rattled me, which confused me, which kind of like, set me at unrest. But eventually, when I came back and sat down, this was in my work life, to writing down my copies or making sense of things through my reports, I realized that I had to think and process emotions and beliefs from their point of view. And that really helps in, not just in writing, but that has really helped me in every juncture of my life, in terms of seeing the other person's perspective. Now, as far as I would like to share something which is very personal in terms of like empowerment and my struggle, which I feel that might interest some of you, is that at no juncture of life, I think we go through all kinds of ups and downs, be it financially, be it emotionally, be it professionally, or be it socially, or a million other things. There is this one thing that as women we must tell ourselves, that whatever come, tomorrow, or tomorrow, when it comes, not going to be as troublesome and fearful as the day that we have anticipated maybe yesterday. Every day is a fresh beginning. It is the now that matters. It is what we can do now that translates to our to our joy and fulfillment at the moment. And if we are happy now, see, this is not as simple as it seems, because women, every woman is very nurturing essentially, then men. This is a difference. So when which keep changing, evolving, and contrasting every single day of our life, normal, ordinary situations, the way in which we respond to give our best and to feel our best within the situation is a learning and strength and source of a journey in empowerment in itself every single day. And that is why I feel that this, of course, I learned with a period of time through my experiences, that there is no real sense in living our life too much in the future. It is our now which matters. So life obviously is like a seesaw of ups and downs, like in every sphere, in every context. So when you are down, you make, it's like you feel that you have all the difficult shades, like you have black, you have gray, you have all the bleak shades to paint a canvas, but you still do it and you make it meaningful. And when it is a good day and you have good things and you have good you have everything working for you, you have all the bright colors and you make a beautiful picture. But if you see in retrospect, after a period of time, maybe you might have painted a better picture with the darker shades. So life is just like that. It is about empowering yourself, no matter what the situation is, what the circumstances are, and whatever of little bad or good opportunities that come at that particular phase of time. And it is not just about deriving joy at that moment. If one succeeds in deriving a sense of semblance, fulfillment and balance in the most direst situations, I feel that ultimately translates to a lot of strength and lot of empowerment for oneself in the long run. If you really ask me what exactly would be my message to women, to lovely women, all you lovely women, in terms of like life journeys and struggles, it is just this, that take each day as it comes, take the colors that life deals you, and paint canvases despite, irrespective of all the the odds and challenges and hardships. because you never know. Sometimes a dark picture, a dark, a more sordid, serious creation, you know, might speak, might relate more to people and inspire people more than a very bright, the rendition of artwork. Now, I'm using these metaphors, but obviously these are things which are abstract, but I'm relating it to life context and experiences, just to help you understand that this is exactly that life is no different than a work of art or a work of fiction. We are all in living a life which has been scripted by a higher power, and it is up to us to make each moment interesting and more meaningful. In terms of I would like to touch upon a very personal point here, and that is about, like, since I'm single, I would like to share this in terms of, women in India are conditioned that you need to have marriage to have a certain social status and a financial security. And obviously marriage is a great thing. If married to the right people, then marriage can obviously be extremely fulfilling. But I, in my personal life, though I've come across those opportunities where life had got a little, now this is a little personal, got too hard, and probably marriage, even to a right person, through an arranged match, would have been a very, probably a wise and convenient choice for me, because it would have kind of cushioned a lot of struggles for me, and, made, given me a kind of support to go ahead in terms of fulfilling my personal ambitions a little easier, probably. I still chose not to go through, go, take that, make that choice in terms of getting into a marriage where probably I was not very convinced for the right reasons. Not because I am against arranged marriage or I am pro love marriage. That is not the issue. But I feel, while getting into any kind of marital alliance, while bonding yourself spiritually and emotionally and physically to a man, a woman needs to feel very right and very convinced and very strong about her decision, for the right reasons. If it is just for a social obligation at any point of time, or if it is just for a, you know with due respect, if it is for a, if it is for a bit of financial support, or the feeling that you would be lonely in your later life, I think these are all very wrong reasons to get into any kind of companionship in an institution as sacred as marriage. Because marriage is something which is predestined by the higher powers, and I believe it happens only when it has to happen, and it happens for the right reasons. But yes, the reason I said that is that my decision of not getting married has also um, exposed me to a little more challenging situations in terms of, finding a balance in terms of career and my passion, which is writing, in terms of, managing a lot of social expectations from obviously friends and relatives, which becomes, obviously it becomes little difficult when you don't have a partner to support you. But I believe that everything which is done with conviction, like for instance my decision of staying single, to face the struggles, because it is my alone, because it has been my decision not to marry for the wrong reasons, because I feel that I have not found the right person at the right time, which is again, something which is not uncommon to many women. But any kind of compromise in life, I would say, be it socially, be it professionally, be it with your dreams, be it with your children, be it with your husband, I think a compromise which is not done from your heart ultimately leads you to a dead end. Compromises and adjustments are beautiful and they are needed, but you need to feel totally convinced to do it at a certain point of time. And if it doesn't happen that way, I think it is better to go through a lot of I would say a lot of challenges, because it also gives you a high in terms of, like, the fulfilling your objectives. If you go, if you really pursue what you really want to, and maybe if you go through the harder way and the longer way, the satisfaction of attaining it is more at the end. So, each to their own, but I would definitely, in terms of singlehood, I would also, it's my duty to also say that marriage is a very sacred institution. It is a very beautiful institution. And when two people are married for the right reasons. And well, now, also, since Ambra Foundation is a very women-centric foundation, which relates to a lot of very, um, it relates to the Indian women. So I would also want to, while closing, give a little message in terms of, like, how beautiful and strong, and remind each one of us that Indian women, as Indian women, I think, through our lineage, through our, through ages, where women in Asian countries, particularly India, I think we have inculcated certain values in our DNA, which, even though now the Western world might say that, yes, I mean, women empowerment is all about, kind of breaking shackles, where one doesn't think too much, breaking shackles of where one has to, like, think more about oneself and not much about people around and all that. That is empowerment. But I would like to disagree. I think the whole, the entire essence and strength, which is intrinsic to the philosophy of a strong, empowered, traditional Indian women, that even we from the contemporary generation should take forward, is that our strength comes in looking after ourselves, in taking care of ourselves, by not putting our needs first, or the needs of people around us first, but in synchronizing and blending our needs and the needs of those around us. This is a very fine balance, which does not, which textbooks on women empowerment, or development studies on women empowerment will not teach you. This is something which is very inherently, the learnings are very inherently, um, there in the social milieu of India and Indian society. When, as daughters, as mothers, as wives, we are conditioned to, um, you know, uh, look after people around us. And I don't think that is a bad thing in any way, because in nurturing, we nurture ourselves. Obviously, it is not to say that, you put other people's needs in front of you, and you digress your needs, or you kind of put yourself down. But it is also, I think, the need of the hour, when people are, really talking, um, pronouncing various narratives on women empowerment, which at times are really borrowed theories from the West. It's also to say that, yes, we are empowered women, but we are also empowered women from India. And our empowerment does not lie in um, just putting our needs and, um, our just taking care of ourselves, as opposed to thinking about people around us. It's not putting theirs or us first. It is about synchronizing and blending. And that is inherently a strength which is there, I believe, in every Indian woman. Every Indian woman has it, to nurture for people around her, be it her family, be it even an extended social setup, be it the environment, and be it herself. It all comes together. This is a fine balance, I think, which only, which is very unique, and which is, like, very a blessing for us, owing to our traditions from thousands of years, and the cultural conditionings, and the learnings which have. This essentially is not a weakness. This our prerogative to tap upon this strength to make a better society and a better world. So in the end, I would like also, really like to profusely thank Vinita Sharma Bakshi, founder of Aambra Foundation, because Vinita is, most of you would know her, but is one of I was privileged to know her in terms of, like, taking an interview for her, for some artwork and some, some um, perspectives that she had to share for a feature article in Hindustan Times. And I think she, like I said, that women empowerment is not about being loud, being insecure as opposed to men. It is not about just thinking about oneself and saying that I have to put my needs first, because I have to be better than you. I have to assert myself in terms of my family or the society or men around me. It is about blending, looking after oneself, nurturing and fulfilling oneself, while giving and encouragement, nurture and support to everything around us, to everyone within the family, outside the family. And that is when we feel empowered. And I think Vinita Sharma Bakshi is one woman who completely embodies this spirit. Tremendously wonderful woman, very strong, very resilient, and very, very pragmatic, very discerning, very sensitive, and someone who looks after everyone while looking after herself. I think she kind of really embodies and that spirit. And in fact, silently, though I've never ever told her this, she is one of my role models, because gentleness, strength, and humility and talent is a very rare combination, and very few people can take it in their stride so beautifully and inspire people. And this is something that she does, she has done with this foundation. And I feel it is not just she, this is there in all of us. It's just that we have to struggle and strive a little harder, maybe sometimes when things are more difficult. But this is a place that every Indian woman inherently can reach. This is the essence and mark of a empowered, strong, empathetic, and in Indian women of the 21st century. And yeah, I guess, though I spoke a lot of rhetoric and a lot of things were like, metaphors, because, within the time constraint, it's been a little takeaway from this session, and that I could, maybe, leave a little impression, a little thought in your mind somewhere, so that when you are faced with a difficult situation or a personal distress at some point of time, you remember a couple of things which are very common to all of us, because like I said, that my life journey has been very inconsequential. The hardships and struggles have been very common to everyone. It's just that I made sense of it all, and the insights probably I gathered while making sense were things that empowered me. Your insights would be different, but all I urge you is that take your insights from even very mundane situations, because your insights would ultimately empower you. Paint your canvases bright, paint your canvases hauntingly, whichever colors you have, because you cannot control situations and circumstances. It is all about your reactions to the moment and the present, which nurtures you in the long run, and inspires. And that in itself, when it becomes a culmination in terms of a life journey, inspires. I mean, we all inspire each of us, each other, in being true to ourselves. That is all that I feel very strongly about. Thank you so much.
Hi, Proyashi, you were so good. You spoke so well.